Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Okay, so let's dive right into things today. We're going to explore exactly how you can take all that passive English knowledge you've built up, those endless vocabulary lists and grammar rules you've got memorized, and actually turn it into confident, spoken fluency. And we're going to do this by looking at a pretty fascinating case study. It's the story of a language learner named Ryan. His journey from silent, nervous studying to eventually crushing job interviews entirely in English perfectly illustrates some of the most effective, research-backed methods for language acquisition out there. So let's get started.
Let's start with Ryan. Ryan was a young guy from a small town who faithfully watched English videos on his phone every single day. He had this big dream, right? He really wanted to speak English fluently. But he ran into one major hurdle, and it's a question we've got to ask. Why do we freeze when it's actually time to speak? Whenever someone asked Ryan a question in real life, his hands would start shaking, his voice would drop to a whisper, and his mind just went completely blank. He had all this passive knowledge stored up, but under pressure, he just couldn't activate it. Honestly, he was almost at the point of convincing himself that English was simply too difficult for him.
I think we can all totally relate to that paralyzing fear. It's that huge, frustrating gap between knowing a language in your head and actually speaking it out loud. But everything really shifted for Ryan when his teacher shared a super simple but honestly life-changing truth. Every fluent speaker was once a beginner. It sounds basic, but it's profound. Fluent English isn't magic. It's not some rare genetic gift. It's purely the result of process and practice. And once Ryan accepted that it was totally okay to just be a beginner, he stopped stressing about perfection and decided to just start practicing every single day. Section 1, 15-minute daily habits. So Ryan realized that success absolutely doesn't happen overnight. It's built through small, consistent daily actions. The Oxford Spoken English routine actually proves you only need about 15 minutes a day to see massive improvements. Let's break down exactly how he did this. Minutes 1 to 3 are just your warm-up. Literally, just talk to yourself out loud. Ryan would stand in front of a mirror and describe his room, saying things like, "This is my table, I am drinking tea." Then minutes 4 to 7 are for shadowing. You just listen to a short clip of a native speaker and repeat right after them to lock in their rhythm. Next, minutes 8 to 10 put your vocabulary into action. Ryan made it a strict habit to learn exactly 5 new words daily and use them right here. Minutes 11 to 13 are absolutely crucial. Answer a random question out loud to build up that spontaneous speaking muscle. And finally, minutes 14 and 15 are just to recap and reflect. That's the whole shebang. 15 minutes of highly focused, active recall. Naturally, during those 15 minutes of describing his room or his morning tea, Ryan made mistakes. But as you start practicing, you really have to remember his teacher's advice. Mistakes are quite literally just how you learn to find your balance. They're undeniable proof that you are learning. Don't let small errors kill your momentum. Because honestly, the biggest mistake you can possibly make is letting the fear of bad grammar stop you from opening your mouth in the first place. You can't learn to ride a bicycle just by reading the manual, right? You've got to get on, wobble around a bit, and fall a few times. Section 2, your AI speaking partner. Now, to really level up his daily routine without that heavy fear of judgment, Ryan needed a practice partner. But, finding a native speaker on demand isn't always easy. The real trick here is abandoning the old way. The most exhausting trap language learners fall into is reading textbook dialogues silently and translating every single sentence back into their native language in their head before they speak. It is so incredibly slow and it makes you hesitate. The new way forces your brain to think directly in English. By using the voice mode on AI tools like ChatGPT, you can instantly replicate a patient, judgment-free practice partner. You get these active, low-stakes voice conversations. It listens, it responds, and it absolutely does not judge you if you stumble over a word. But here's a pro tip. You do have to give the AI the right instructions first. By pasting a few specific commands into ChatGPT before you start, you create the ultimate tutor. You just tell it, "Be my English speaking partner." And this next part is critical. Tell it to ask one question at a time. If you skip that, it might just talk your ear off. Then instruct it to identify my grammar mistakes and rewrite my answer in natural English. Armed with that, you just chat about your day. It gently corrects you, which helps you build real conversation skills and fix your grammar all at once. It's a total game changer. Section 3, real-life role plays. The beauty of practicing role plays, whether you do it solo or with an AI, is that you get to unlearn those common, slightly awkward mistakes that native speakers instantly pick up on. For example, instead of sounding a bit demanding at a restaurant by blurting out, "I want a coffee,"
Role-playing trains you to naturally say, "I'd like a coffee." It teaches you how to state your case clearly without over-apologizing if you need to return a defective item to a store. It reminds you to keep things brief, maybe 3 or 4 sentences, when a friend casually asks, "What's new?" instead of launching into a 10-minute monologue. And it really helps you drop that stiff, robotic textbook language when you're just hanging out with casual friends. So Ryan's daily roleplay practice actually got put to the test one weekend. He was at a local coffee shop when a tourist walked in and asked him for directions to the nearest bus station. Now, the old Ryan absolutely would have frozen up. But because he had literally practiced this exact scenario, he nailed it. He confidently smiled and said, "Go straight, then turn left. It is near the bank." He avoided blunt phrases like, "Where is the cafe?" because he understood natural, polite phrasing. The tourist smiled back and said, "Thank you. Your English is very good." For the first time ever, a total stranger understood him perfectly. Practicing these scenarios builds a muscle so you recover instantly in the real world instead of just freezing in silence. Section 4. The perfect self-introduction. Fast forward a year into his journey of daily practice, and Ryan faced the ultimate test, a high-pressure job interview entirely in English. But here's the secret to surviving these high-stakes scenarios. You really do not need a complicated, memorized script. You just need 4 foundational building blocks. Distilling the formula from communication experts at Preply, we can see you just need to cover your greeting and name, your location, your job or daily role, and the purpose of the meeting. That's it. "Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm from a small town. I work as an analyst, and I'm here to interview for this role." When you lean on a simple structure like that, you don't panic, and the person listening gets exactly the information they need right up front. You know what the biggest mistake people make under pressure in these interviews is? They overload their introduction with way too many biographical details. They try to tell their entire life story, and in the panic, they end up mixing up their verb tenses. They're jumping back and forth between past, present, and future, which just completely confuses the listener. The rule to remember here is super simple. Just use the present tense for your current situations and the past tense for completed experiences. Don't mix them up. Keep it clean, keep it simple, and just save all those extra colorful details for the follow-up questions. Section 5. A new beginning. Because Ryan had relentlessly practiced this simple framework, he didn't mix up his tenses. He didn't panic. He just smiled, spoke clearly, and relied on the muscle memory of his daily routine. And at the end of that interview, the hiring manager looked right at him and said, "Congratulations, you got the job." Ryan entirely rewrote his own narrative, proving once and for all that fluency isn't magic. And the best part? You can start your own new beginning right now. Make it actionable. On day 1, your only goal is to speak English out loud for 5 minutes. By the end of week 1, lock in that 15-minute daily habit. In week 2, fire up an AI and start practicing those low-stakes role plays. And by week 4, challenge yourself to speak spontaneously on a random topic for 1 full minute without stopping. These are small, achievable steps that build real fluency. If you decide not to wait for that mythical perfect day to start, and if you can just embrace your mistakes as actual proof that you are learning, you will completely surprise yourself. You have the tools and you now have the roadmap. The only question left to answer is, what will your English sound like in 30 days?